Hi guys, welcome back to Xi'an. So as I told you yesterday when I was taking a video like this, I'm going to go to the Terracotta Warriors tomorrow. Well, that's what I said. So I did go to the Terracotta Warriors today, and it was unbelievable. Like, just so cool. They had you could see how each one was incredibly different. Like the fingernails, the inside, like the palm of their hands. Their ears, everything was different about them, and they all had, like, in China they cherish your hair, like, because it's said to be like a part of, like, what you get from your parents, like something that's like their gene or related like that. And so they keep their hair long, so it takes a while to take care of it. So they put it up in buns and things. And so it was really interesting seeing, like, just the different hairstyles and things. And also, like, you could definitely tell that some of them were different. Like, they all had different body shapes. Like, some of them were definitely skinnier, and then some of them were, like, heavier, and some of them were taller, and some of them were shorter. But they were all well above 6 feet. Most of them were, like, 6'5" and things like that. And so I guess the one that I had seen was actually a model when we went to the museum. They were actually really tall. And I'll show you a picture later, of me standing beside one. They have some good height on me. But it was incredible seeing. They had hundreds of thousands. They had like 4,000 in there that they had found, and each one was uniquely different. And then where we could see them was actually the ground where they had been found. So the farmers, you could see, like, the rakes and things like that. And something that I learned that was interesting was that they had used what's it called? Some of the graves that people, like, in the town had been buried, were, like, buried on top, so you could see, like, the coffin lines and things like that of graves, and that was, like, really interesting to learn. And a lot of the stuff that, like, we read in that one article where there was, like, the reason that I haven't gone into the Emperor's tomb yet is because because of the mercury. That's true. A lot of the things we learned in that article are true, like the mercury, not, like, how he had people build surround him in mercury, basically. But what I didn't realize is they had jade creatures there. They had, like, jade cranes and things, which we weren't able to go into the museum because we were running out of time. We were there for a solid, like, 3 hours. So, and they have, like, different exhibits. They have, like, one exhibit about, they have, like, different sections, and we had a guided tour and everything. So it was really interesting. And when we were walking, it was so crowded. There were so many people there, and because they all wanted to see the Terracotta Warriors. So we had to sort of push our way through, and so some of the pictures are hurried. But they also had a hospital there for different Terracotta Warriors that had been broken, and you could see how they were, like, gluing the pieces together like the archaeologists. It was really interesting to watch and things like that. And when we were there, I'll show you, like, actually right now I have some of this stuff, but when I come back to China and I do the presentation on all the stuff that I got, I'll show you. They have, like, you can see how some of the Terracotta Warriors, there's, like, a picture that we took, are some, like, see how he's like one of the taller ones. So they're all based off of, like, what real people looked like. So do you see his, like, facial expression? There was one that was, like, had his head and he was cocked and it was smiling, and it was really interesting. But a lot of the Terracotta Warriors are, like, broken and things like that, like, or they're still buried. So I was kind of surprised by the amount. And we learned that in class that there were, like, ones that had, like, pictures and the color and things on them. So they all did. And they said that, and you could still see some of it on the dirt and on the warriors. And I was surprised that you could still see them. But they mostly all are, like, they have sort of, like, a cast to them. They're all, like, a light gray, but they have, like, a cast of, like, red if you look at the glare. This is, like, one of the headshots. Like, you can see how his head is different. And then, like, here's a picture that looks like, so here's the one that I showed you first, and then here's this one. So, like, you can see how they're completely different. This one's, like, this guy's a little bit rounder and shorter, and this one is a little bit taller. it was really interesting to see just how unique each one is. They all have like this looks like they all have the same hair, but they have different hair crease lines, and then like the cut in front, like see how I have this, I would have like something there. And this is like, these are postcards that we got for, not like we got a book where the farmer whose land actually they found the terracotta warriors on, we got a book and he signed it, which was really cool to see. He was also really nice. He was one of the few English people that spoke English. And the terracotta warriors were found in 74, the year 1974, and then they didn't end up getting into a museum until the year, I want to say 98. I think it was 98 that they did it. And then they had horses, which were so cool. Like, this horse was from a chariot. They had, like, little models of chariots, because most of the chariots were, like, he had a chariot, and then he had, like, sort of like a riding wagon that you would ride in. These are some things that aren't on display yet, and they found these new they're not the warriors, they're just, like, other people that he had built that they haven't put on display yet, because archaeologists are still trying to understand it and things like that. So I was pretty blown away by that. As well as like, and like I said, they have like some like jade pots and things like that. This is actually what the chariot looked like, and it was led by 4 horses. This was actually not the chariot. This was the riding wagon. He would ride in that. Emperor Qin would ride in that. And actually, I learned that we know how he took over the throne when he was 13, and it was the year after that he started building the terracotta army. These are some of the jade birds and animals. This is the crane. This is the chariot. Sorry, that's pretty cool. And then this is where his grave is, but they haven't gone in yet. Archaeologists are still trying to figure out what to do. And so actually, the story about them finding the grave was that this farmer, it was his land that he owned and things like that. And he was farming, he was just like digging for water and things like that. And he came across something, and it was hard, and they thought that it was like a casket for someone. And in China, it's like not good to have, if you step on a casket, it means like bad luck and things like that. So, oh, here's another picture. This guy is doing Tai Chi, which is a type of like martial arts. If my dad studied that, and he has the first degree black belt in Tai Chi. So, yeah, it's pretty snazzy. And then you can just see like the size difference between them, and what they would call like, this guy has like a rounder belly, and he was a rounder stomach, and they call those people, like, they call them the general bellies, because they're, that's what the Chinese call it. It translates to something different that I don't know. And that means, like, because they always got fed more since they never really actually did much of the work. This is, like, the best that they would find. So, yeah, those are some good pictures that I found, though. I can show you some more that I took. So, taken by a photographer. And the horses actually were so interesting. Like, here's a little model. We got, like, a model of them. And you can see, like, the intricate designs on them. Like, you can see the eyes. You can see the teeth. But unfortunately, there was an earthquake that destroyed a lot of the terracotta stuff, which was a real shame, because these are just small models, don't worry. They're made out of the same terracotta material, though. And actually, we got a whole set of terracotta stuff. Sorry, I'm getting it for you. So, that's the horse. Whoa, that's not good. Don't worry. So, this right here, this one is the general. This one is the archer. Yeah, this one's the archer. because he's kneeling. This one is a horse. We looked at that sign. This one, I think this one is just the soldier, and this is a leader. Not really sure of the difference between the soldier and the leader, but they're all like each of the like what I was most surprised about, and what our tour guide was talking about. She was like, yeah, most of like a lot of people think that that they're like that they don't have as like they're not very smart. Like people in ancient times aren't as smart, but they actually created so much. Like they had the creativity to create these amazing terracotta warriors, which are over 2,000 years old, and I think that's what was mostly really stunning. And a lot of the pieces of the terracotta were like broken and things like that. And the place where the archaeologists don't use they don't make pieces to put on. They just use like actual pieces. So that was kind of hard because a lot of the pieces were like crumbled and broken when they found them. So it was really sad to see some of the broken ones and things that like weather did end up eroding it. And so this is the book that we got about the terracotta warriors, and this farmer, Mr. Young, or Mr. Yang actually, he signed it, and that's for my brother too. So he signed it in Chinese, so, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And it has like some information. You can see it like closer. You can see different terracotta warriors, and they are. It's like, look at this picture. I was trying to find this one for you. You can see like the details of their face, and like we were standing beside one, and we were like, I'd say maybe like 7 or 8 feet away from one that was like really close to us, and it was like it wasn't in a cage or anything, and we could feel the rock and things like that they that was found, and it was really hard ground. So it was really surprising that they were able to even find anything. So yeah, I was like, I feel like if Mr. Young had known that they were worth millions of dollars, I'm not sure he would have returned them. I feel like he would have kept them, because that's a lot of money to have, even if it's 1,000. That's 1,000 US dollars, not. They're priceless. They're completely priceless. They're from so many years ago, and what I found was really interesting was they had discovered that they're discovering that there's more and more terracotta stuff that they found. So like I had showed you, there's a picture, and they were like, he had like peasants that he had like slaves and things like that he had made that are like stretching closer to his grave, and then people hadn't realized that because of the mercury, and then they had people feeding the birds, and people like actually mounted on horses, and little kids and aunts and things like that, and queens and sons. And what I found most interesting was he had over 3,000 sons or something. Or relatives. It was relatives. And then his oldest son, he wanted his oldest son to take over the throne, but his oldest son died from something, and so the younger son, which he didn't really want to take over, ended up taking over the throne, and that's what ended the Qin dynasty after like 3 or 4 years. So I was pretty blown by that. So there's one thing that Emperor Qin did that's one of the greatest things in the world, and it's one of the most interesting and intricate things that it's so cool to like be there and actually be able to physically see them with your eyes. Like, pictures are cool and you can see pictures really well, but it's one thing to be like standing right there and being able to see them with your own eyes. So I hope you guys learned something from this, and I hope this helped you with your Qin Dynasty stuff. Maybe you learned some information that will help you add to your project. And if you're not doing the Qin Dynasty, then maybe you learned something cool about the Terracotta Warriors. Thank you, and bye!